Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next comment or question comes from Daz4627 in response to the Yamaha SY77 installing a new disk drive. That was the restoration part 4 video I did in December 2023. And Daz writes, do you know the exact modification to the new floppy drive cable in order to make it compatible with the SY77? I chased this up ages and ages ago when I was considering buying an SY77, but I can't find any info anymore. As I remember it, there was a change required to the wiring harness in order to connect new standard floppy drives to the SY77. This applied to both standard floppy disk drives as well as the Gotek virtual drive. Anyway, great job. I'm glad that you managed to get this beast up and running again. Well, as always thankful for feedback on videos. Now, the Yamaha SY77 uses a 26-pin converter or connector, and a standard floppy drive uses a standard 34-pin connector. So basically, do the math, you've got to lose 8 pins. Now, looking at the drive that was supplied to me and works, this was modified by the vendor. I didn't modify it, but I understand how to modify it now. The 26-pin ribbon cable, or 26 ribbon thingies, that we use is where pin 1 of that cable connects to pin 1 on the 26 ribbon cable, and the cable pin 26 is connected to pin 26 on the connector, if that makes any sense. Then at the other end, cable pin 1 is connected to connector pin 7, and then in sequence cable pin 26 is connected to pin 32 on the connector. Thus pins 1 through 6 and 33 and 34 are not used. There will be a video that goes through this, okay, so hopefully you'll get the drift. When you connect the cable to the connector, do not trim the cable. This is kind of the important thing here, because on the cable pins or cable ribbon bits 1, 3 and 5 are connected to pins 7, 8 and 11 respectively. They then go through and are connected to the 5-volt pin on the floppy drive. That makes no sense probably to many people, but that's kind of how it works. Daz then writes back and says, thanks for the wiring details. I vaguely remember that there was a bit of a bodge around routing the cables. Choosing that particular drive was a bit of a blunder on Yamaha's behalf. I've always said I did wonder why Yamaha did this. There was obviously a reason. Anyway, doesn't matter. There is at least a workaround. I'll keep you infoed anyway. I still have a hankering for a 77, or preferably a 99. 99 in this country always used to be an ice cream with a flake in it. I digress. Anyway, looking forward to the next lot of repairs, hopefully a bit less of a pain than the 77. All I can say is the next lot of repairs are more of a pain than the 77. So, I failed on that one miserably. Next comment or question comes from Ray Brown 2811. and this was in response to the Ensoniq 16 Plus freezes with these error codes. Mailbag I did in May 2023, and Ray writes, the key gets stuck, will sequence is placed. Key is not stuck in place but keeps playing the note indefinitely. Any suggestions? Did I press a wrong button or change something on my keyboard along the way? Well, you know, this is always an issue. You know, have I buggered about with it? You know, I always remember there was an IT. I work in IT. If for people that don't realise that, there was an IT flowchart, and the first question on the flowchart was, "Did you bugger about with it? Yes or no?" Read into that. Anyway, I have to be honest and say, I don't think this is any change that you have made on the synth through the user interface, if I'm honest. Purely because the key is sticking. That always indicates something else is going on. So, I had two theories when I wrote the response. The contact that the key triggers is broken, is not latching off when released. However, I probably would expect that to be consistent if this was the case. And I'm guessing that if you switch off the synth and reset, and the key resets, that kind of would discount that particular theory. The second part of this is that the process that generates the voices has a voice that's sticking, and therefore this is probably more of a logic issue. And what you'll need to do is you'll need to trace through the circuitry and do a bit more fault finding to find out why something is not releasing. Now it might be obvious that you look at the circuit board and you can see signs of damage, but you might need to put a probe on some of the chips and see if a chip is not releasing. So if and I can't remember how the Ensoniq works, so I'm doing this completely off the top of my head, but for argument's sake, if there is a chip that says when you put a positive voltage on it, it triggers the sound, then that could be where you're looking at, because when you put a probe on it, you realise when you release the key, the chip is not releasing, therefore the chip has gone US, something like that. I'm afraid these sort of issues never turn out to be simple to solve. You always end up having to pull your hair out, probe around the circuitry with a multimeter or an oscilloscope, and ultimately drive yourself insane. Now I do have an EPS 16 that is on the list of projects to fix, and I'm kind of trying to get through a number of other projects before I return my attention. I've kind of bought all the bits for what I think is causing the problem. I just need to get back in the headspace of being able to sit down and work it through, because it's not going to be a simple fix, this one. But that's my guess, and again I say I don't think it's going to be a simple fix, so good luck.